पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः.
So now this is all a argument about Kula Dharma, 40 and 41 we'll chant the verses together. Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhibhavatyuta adharma bhibhavat Krishna प्रदुष्यन्ति कुलस्त्रियः स्त्रीषु दुष्टासु वार्ष्णेय जायते वर्णसंकरः. So this, like I said, it's a problematic argument because even though the whole dharma is maintained by women, really speaking, they are the one who socialize the children into dharma. They maintain the family dharma and the kula dharma by their very being, and there is some role attributed to men in the sense of, even though women are the protectors of dharma, men are the protectors of women, and so therefore all the men eaten up in the battle, there's nobody going to go home, and the women will be at risk of falling in the hands of unscrupulous neighboring powers whose men will just carry them and take them away. This is what used to happen in the past, I suppose. And so this is one argument. And we've had other things like this actually in certain districts in India where a disproportionate number of men have gone to the city to earn. It's been, basically women run villages of single mothers. The mothers and the children are left behind because the husband doesn't have a good job in the city, everything is expensive, so he rooms with 4 or 5 other men in a small little room, a tenement basically, sends the money home and comes to visit whenever he can. This is how a number of marriages are there, where the women are tilling the land and sowing the seeds and doing all the work that men used to do. However, there is an added risk of those lands, them being dispossessed of those lands. And also, he means, Varna Sankaraha means the mix-up of values happens when the children grow up in these broken homes, broken by war. Not that the parents decided to separate, but one of them is dead. So they all grow up in these fatherless homes, these children, and what kind of a message are they going to get about our dharma when they grow up? These fatherless children, when they grow up, they are certainly not going to have men or male role models to teach them the things that they need to learn, And even though, single mothers are perfectly capable of raising the children, it's not that it's any kind of a blight on the mothers, but the thing is, it's much harder to raise a child on your own. So all this he is thinking about. But it is expressed not very well. That's the only thing. So, pradushyanti kulastriyaha, dush, to become impure, so they will go into improper ways. Srisu Dushtasu. And literal meaning is when they go wayward. So it's not that they are going wayward, the whole society is topsy-turvy. You have to understand that. You have to not look at it only from the standpoint of, women, as soon as the men are not there, they go out of control. That's not the idea. And even if Arjuna is expressing it, it is his own subjective patriarchal understanding. This is not in any way, some kind of a statement about women. So let us look at how the argument goes, that a disproportionate number of men will be killed at war. And when the disproportionate number of men are killed at war, women will have to go for it alone. And in so doing, they run the risk of not being protected. And they may fall in the hand of foreign powers and neighboring kingdoms who may carry them away, or who they might be forced to marry because they have no other way of making ends meet. And that culture will bring with it additional problems because it has to mix with this culture. And the mixing of the two cultures, according to Arjuna, is never a good thing, because you become like the dog of the dhobi. I have told you the story, the washerman's dog, which thinks the ghat, the place where the clothes are washed, that's its real home, because the dhobi and his wife spend so much time at the ghat. But then the ghat dogs bark it out of hierarchy, and then it goes home thinking, okay, this must be my home. But there too it doesn't have any place to establish itself. So these children, the next generation, will grow up without mooring and without a sense of belonging, without knowing what this is. And this mix-up in the society is called Varna Sankaraha. Sankara means a mix-up, not to be confused with Shankara. So don't think that, that this is Sankara or Shankara is Sankara. No, those are two different things. So, Strisu Dushtasu, if the women are not protected, what happens? There is a mix-up. Jayate is born, a mix-up of Varna Sankaraha. Means all kinds of problems start to come because of this mix-up. Then what? Sankaro narakayaiva.
Sankaro narakayaiva.
Kulagnanam kulasya cha.
Kulagnanam kulasya cha.
Patanti pitaro hyesham.
Patanti pitaro yesham.
Lupta pindodaka kriyaha.
Lupta pindodaka kriya.
Yeah, this is very interesting, because at every point you can say, so what? Alright, so Kulakshaye, when the clan is destroyed, all the dharmas connected to the clan are destroyed. So what? Then Varna Sankara, the mix-up of the thing happens. So what? Then the women are without protection. So what? And if the women are not protected, then the whole culture falls into hands, and they are at risk of not being able to transmit this culture to future generations. So what? You can keep saying so what, and here is another response for the so what. Sankaraha narakaya eva. This mix-up is as good as hell, he says. Sankaro narakaya is just for the sake of creating a hell, is consigning this whole culture into a world of pain, So confusion leads narakayaiva. A confusion of these, this kind of a confusion of the society leads only to hell. It's a direct road to hell. For whom? Kulagnanam kulasya cha. Both the family and the destroyers of the family are headed to hell. And then what? There also they don't find any respite. Why? Because with the destruction of the dharma and its values, nobody is offering them pindas, oblations. Because we have this way of offering oblations for the ancestors to take their blessings and to help them move on to wherever they need to go, to help them move on, to help them, attain whatever loka they need to attain, and if they need to be reborn to, just so that the jiva, because of desire, doesn't get stuck anywhere. Every year for 15 days you offer, and also on the birth tithi, the birth date or on the death date of the person, you offer what is it called, balls of rice. You make rice, cooked rice and balls of rice with sesame and oil and everything. You make balls of rice and offer with water, and you go by some body of water, whether it's a seashore or lake or some place like that, or if not, it can even be done in the backyard. So you offer this, and then you offer the water, so that if they are stuck anywhere in terms of their gati, we don't know how long they are there, you offer along with the ball of rice. The ball of rice is a food for them on their way, but it's also very metaphorical, because the rice is cooked and made into balls and offered, and so that means that out of my karma, good karma, I'm giving you some of it, use it. You have been so good to me, and you have helped, given me this body, given me this mind, and blessed me to lead this life. So this little karma that I am going to give you is nothing. So you please take my good karma and use it as a fuel to rocket your way into wherever you need to go. This is the idea, and you do it for 3 generations. Beyond that, you don't know where they are. For 3 generations. So mother, if the mother is no more here, mother, mother's mother, and mother's mother's mother, or grandmother, great grandmother, and great great grandmother. Like this you do, and then same thing on the father's side. So everybody has how many grandparents?
4.
4. So 4 into 3, 12. Yeah. So like that, you do it for 3 generations. So there is the dark half of the month in the September. The Krishna Paksha is called Pitru Paksha. So he says that not only is it going to destroy the families, it's going to destroy the people, but the ancestors, including these people after they die, there is nobody watching out for you. The people who come after you, they are not sparing any time to think about you. You are sitting somewhere hanging out in between 2 lokas, unable to get to the loka that you need to go because some desire has made you stuck in between 2 lokas. And nobody is there to watch out. Nobody is there to extricate you from this predicament. Nobody is there to say, you know what, I'm going to give you some of my punya, go forth. So then the people become lupta pindodaka kriyaha. Kriya means this karma of giving pinda. Lupta means for whom this karma of giving the ancestral pindas, these ancestral offerings, has been lupta, means has been forsaken. So their post-death rituals are not there, and so what happens to the ancestors? Instead of going on the bright path, they sink into samsara again and are born into various strange, strange bodies they get, weevils and praying mantises and earthworms, snakes and so on, all kinds of these things, so that even if they are supposed to be reborn and a few pindas would have taken them to the human realm, now they are denied that. And this in the Hindu, see, we have to understand it from the context. Even now in the Hindu tradition, this is a very big thing. They may not be rich, but they will do this. Everyone does it, and everyone does it on the death date of their ancestors, but also not just that, and not just in the dark half of the month of September, but also whenever there are any rituals, like good things happening in the house. Like there's a marriage, there is a naming ceremony, there is an engagement. The first thing you have is Nandi Shraddha. Nandi means invocation of the ancestors and their grace. Please bless us, we are doing this wonderful thing. In fact, your lineage has increased. This great 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 grandchild of yours, if you were alive, it would be great 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 grandchild. It is now born, and we are going to name it with your blessings. So please take care of any obstacles. So the ancestors become devatas, in a source of blessing. And when do they become a source of blessing? When they are propitiated and happy and feeling the connection no matter where they are with the people that are alive, and knowing that they are karmically connected, and feeling that connection, they are happy and they are blessing. But when that connection is severed because nobody is performing these rituals, then they are not, they also fall. Patanti. Pitaro hesham. Patanti means they fall into the realms of despair, and then they get reborn as, all these four-footed and other creatures. And once they do that, they are not a source of blessing. Correct? And so this is patanti, lupta pindodaka kriyaha, those that are denied their post-death rituals. And then what you can say, so what? Doshairetaiः kulagnanam.
Doshairetaiः kulagnanam.
Varna sankarakaiः.
Varna sankarakaiः.
Utsadyante jati dharmaha.
Utsadyante jati dharmaha.
Kuladharmascha shashvataha.
Kuladharmascha shashvataha.
So those who destroy the family by these faults, doshaihi etaihi kuladhnanam, those people who are the destroyers of family by these kinds of wars and other things, and who are the cause of the mix-up and confusion in society, what do? They have this destruction has far-fetched consequences, because the jati dharma and the sanatanaha shashvataha kuladharmascha utsadyante, because these have far-fetched consequences, because what is destroyed, further things are destroyed. What is it that is destroyed? Jati dharma, meaning any kind of community dharma. How communities were designed with certain unwritten codes of conduct with each other. Every country has it, every community has it. So country dharma, community dharma, interactive dharma, all of them are destroyed. Just because of these people who are out to destroy family dharma, because a group of family becomes community. Several communities living together becomes a society. Several societies living together becomes a nation. And so like this, it all has to start with one set of two families fighting together, like on this battlefield, and the entire society is destroyed. It is just so he's mounting more and more defenses. This is all part of the second argument about dharma being destroyed. Then again you can ask, so what? And he has an answer ready. Utsanna kula dharmanam.
Utsanna kula dharmanam.
Manushyanam janardana.
Manushyanam janardana.
Narake niyatam vasaha.
Narake niyatam vasaha.
Bhavatityanu
Bhavatityanu.
Yeah. Utsanna kula dharmanam manushyanam niyatam narake vasaha iti niyatam narake vaso bhavati iti anushruma. Anushruma, we have heard in keeping with what the Vedas say. What have we heard? That narake niyatam vasaha, such people who destroy, that such people live in constantly, not niyatam means constantly, for a long time, not eternally, but for a long time. Where do they live? In Naraka. What is Naraka? Yeah, the Vedic version of hell. And even if there is no hell, they live with their guilt and hurt for lifetimes to come. So narake niyatam vasaha. So they live in a self-made hell, and after death also they go to some kind of a hellish place where they are punished for their deeds, and where, they live there for some time. Why? Because of the extent of their deeds of destroying, tumbling down the dharma of an entire society is a very huge, what's its name? Very big thing. And then what? Iti anushruma. Thus we have heard. Anu means in keeping with. In keeping with what? The Vedas, where we hear things. And who are these people? Manushyanam, for these people. Which people? Kulagnanam manushyanam. Utsanna kuladharmanam. So for those lawless people, without dharma, dharma-less people, and also the destroyers of the dharma, for them there can only be one end. What is that? Dead end. So they are there and they are all the time suffering. And so this is also, so neither in the here, in other words, what is he trying to say? In the now and the here, there is no, the war is not justified. And then even in the hereafter, the war has far-fetched consequences, therefore it is not justified. And he sums up this argument in 45. Aho batamahat papam
Aho batamahat papam
kartum vyavasita vayam
Kartum vyavasita vayam
yadrajya sukhalobhena
Yadrajya sukhalobhena
hantum swajanamudhyataha.
Hantum swajanamudyata.
Yeah, he says, Aho bata, fie upon us. Mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam. We are, vyavasita means we are getting ready. We have decided, vyavasita, we have decided with certainty. What? Kartum, to do, mahat papam, to do a very big papa here. So fie upon us who have set upon this road of doing some, egregious wrongdoings. How? Yat, by which? Rajya sukhalobhena, by greed for rajya, kingdom, and sukha, enjoyment. Hantum swajanam udyataha. Udyataha means with the sword in hand or the bow in hand, ready. Standing upright to kill our own people. Fie upon us, O Krishna. What kind of a people are we? Are we, cannibals? What is wrong with us that we are destroying our own people? And here, what does he mean by our own people? Human beings? No. His own people, uncles, are, what's the uncles, cousins, in-laws, father, brother, all these people. Nieces, nephews, men only. Teachers, grandfather, granduncle. These are people and friends of theirs, which are also friends of ours, and allies. These are our own people. So it's not that our own people means he's, against the war on a humanitarian, concept. No. If it was some other war where he didn't know who was on the other side, he would have happily, made short shrift of them. Please understand. He's only confused because he feels like he's fighting with people who he loves. And of course there is a dysfunctional love, as we pointed out. Because obviously it is not reciprocated, right? Duryodhana is not reciprocating that love. If he is sending bouquets, that fellow is sending a bunch of arrows. So he is not reciprocating that love. And so therefore there is something wrong because he is loth to defend himself. And so you see the whole argument, the entire first chapter, the latter half is all the arguments that he mounts. First he says, take me there, let me inspect the army. And then all confidence leaves him. And then he says that no, we shouldn't kill our own people. And what was our own people and why we shouldn't kill was gone into detail. And then he broadens it and says that, all right, they should also know better, but because of greed they are not seeing it. But we are not blind, like Dhritarashtra and his wife. We know better, so we should have pulled out of this war. And otherwise what's going to happen is all the men are going to die, the women are going to be bereft of protection, and then they may be forced to marry so many people who don't share these values, and the children will grow up confused. And already see, even with so much royal patronage, these people are so confused about what they want. Imagine if the children just grow up with conflicting values, and they will not know what to do. Further, the ancestors won't get their dues, and we won't be blessed by them. And then so what? That will destroy the person here, because the connection between the here and the hereafter is the connection to the ancestors. And that connection is gone, so one is feeling mooring without moorings, moorless. And then what? So what? Then the whole society is destroyed, not just one family, community, society, everybody is destroyed. And fie upon us, what were we thinking? We should have never gone into this war. And then what? Not only does he say that, he does something rather alarming for a warrior. What does he do? Yadi mama pratikaram
Yadi mama pratikaram
ashastram shastrapanayah
Ashastram shastrapanayah
dhartarashtrarane hanyuhu
Dhartarashtrarane hanyuhu
tanme kshemataram bhavet.
Tanme kshemataram bhavet.
He was already feeling slightly suicidal and feeling like, what's the point in living? How can I live without these people? And but it was just hinted at. Now you have a full-blown suicide attack. What does he say? Yadi, if apratikaram shastrapanayah ashastram apratikaram ashastram mam yadi dhartarashtraha shastrapanayah rane hanyuhu tanme kshemataram bhavet. This is the Anvaya. So what is he saying? Yadi, if mam, first we have to translate slightly differently. If Dhartarashtraha, the sons of Dhritarashtra, who are what? Shastrapanayah, equipped with all kinds of maces, bows, arrows, and different zingers, and Nagastra, this astra, that astra, all these missiles. So the one who are with missiles, Shastrapanayah, whose hands are equipped with missiles, Rane Hanyuhu, if they were to kill, in the battle, who? Mam. Which kind of mam? Apratikaram mam, ashastram mam. The mam, two words are qualifying mam. Apratikaram means the one who is refusing to do battle. A pacifist mam, and then ashastram mam. Shastram means the one with shastra, with battle, with bows and arrows. Ashastram means the one who has cast disarmed. So if these Dhritarashtra's, the Dhritarashtra's sons kill me in the battle, who is this me? The one who is not having, who is refusing to fight, who has laid aside, who is disarmed, the disarmed me. And then which other me? Apratikaram mam, the one who refuses to retaliate arrow with arrow. Naturally, after a few arrows, what retaliation will be there? The fellow has gone off, died. Tanme, that for me, kshemataram bhavet, is better. Better than what? Fighting my own people. This is a very dangerous statement for a warrior. This is a very, very dangerous thing to say, because this means retreat. There is no such thing called successful retreat in the Hindu Dharma. There is just a shameful retreat, and he is one of the high-ranking people, and he is even the commander-in-chief. Drishtadyumna comes and asks him advice. So he is the architect in a sense of all what is to be done. He knows who is who. He knows their strength and weaknesses. He knows how to place people. He is really an expert in all these warfare and archery. And even as a role model, everybody is looking at him. What is Arjuna doing? Oh, okay. Then I will still continue to fight, because he is fighting. Even though blood is pouring out of his hand or his leg, he is still continuing to be on his chariot and fight. And that, just looking at Arjuna, was giving people so much inspiration. And here what does this fellow say? That in this big battleground, this theater called this battle, I give up on life. This is what it is. So is that a choice? Is not acting, is it not making a choice? Is not acting not making a choice?
It's making a choice.
It's making a choice. You cannot not make a choice. Even if you say, I'm not making a choice, that's a choice. And here his choice is a very poor choice, both from the standpoint of his own duty and what he needs to be doing, and both also from the standpoint of his own people that he's trying to save. His own people are looking up to him to be the person who will do this. Yes, the war is a terrible thing, but you should have thought of it before. This is not the time to withdraw. This is not the time, and this is what is going to be told in chapter 2, that this is not the correct time for these kinds of things. And so what does he, and he, having said this, these were his famous last words of chapter 1, and having said this, he demonstrates it. How does he demonstrate it? Let us see. Sanjaya uvacha
Sanjaya uvacha
eva muktva Arjuna sankhye
Evam Arjuna sankhye
rathopastha upavishat
Rathopastha upavishat
visrijya sasharam chapam
Visrijya sacharam chapam
shoka samvigna manasah.
Shoka samvigna manasah.
Yeah. So Sanjaya now has to say, why? Because he has stopped talking. Arjuna uvacha finished. So therefore Sanjaya has to pitch in, because not only he has stopped talking, but we need Sanjaya to tell us, if he has stopped talking, what is his demeanor, what is he doing? So Sanjaya tells us, Sanjaya uvacha, Sanjaya tells us, he has slumped in the back seat of the chariot. Yeah. Upavishat means has sat down. Slumped in the seat of the chariot. In fact, the seat is just for show only. The warrior should be standing. Nobody should sit down. This is not a coffee break. And once the war has been declared, there is no time to sit down. You are the driver is in front. You are also standing in the back. The seat is just there for some little rest taking in between the battles. But here he is slumped in the sitting in the chariot, and then what? Shoka samvigna manasah, whose mind has been drowned in grief. Glub, glub, glub. All he can think of is being sorry for himself, and the next chapter will tell that his eyes are bright. Oh, with jnanam? No, with unshed tears. Yeah, ashru purna kulekshanam. So he is so in despair that he is crying. And then what? Visrijya, from who, Visrijya means casting aside, putting aside. What? Sasharam chapam, the bow along with the arrows. Meaning he was true to his threat of disarming himself. What does he do? He just slumps in his chariot, covers his hand, covers his face in his hands, and he is in the position of suicidal resignation, total apathy. And of course, this is why we love Arjuna, because it speaks to everyone's situation, especially in Kali Yuga. Oh, everything is so hard, you feel like going under the covers. You get out of the bed to go back to bed, like the groundhog, scared of its own shadow. 6 more weeks it will not come out. Like this, one is at any given time overwhelmed by the situation. And usually it involves some kind of, my own people, not my people, who is this me, who are they in relation to me, and what is correct, what is not correct. There are so many kinds of things. And so therefore what Visrijya means, whatever one is supposed to do, one doesn't do. There is apathy, psychopathy, all kinds of pathies, start coming. And so the person withdraws from life. And this withdrawal is seen by Lord Krishna as one of the worst sentiments. This is what is called Bhavaroga. This is not Vairagya. Yeah, Vairagya means he could have just walked out. Yeah, this is not Vairagya. This is what is called Jihasa Vairagya. What is Jihasa Vairagya? Temporary apathy brought on by the exigencies of a situation which is beyond one's control and beyond one's ken of being able to tackle. To tackle this situation is beyond one's ken, and so therefore one responds by withdrawing, like the ostrich. You know what the ostrich does when it's scared? What does it do? Yeah, buries the head in the sand. This is what Arjuna is doing. Yeah. That's why it said Shoka Sandvigna Manasaha. Samvigna Manasaha. So he is also in a sense burying himself in the proverbial sand of sorrow, the sand of confusion, in the hope that this situation, this storm will go away if I don't look at it. And if I just sit here and just crouch and put aside the Gandiva, you're never supposed to be dispossessed of your arms, in the war. And here the kettle drum has called the war. He himself blew his conch. He himself responded to the war cry, and he also called the war. And both the sides have called the battle. And this is not the time to run, skulking somewhere and saying, "Mummy." This is not the time to say that. But this is what he does. And what does he do? He is completely overwhelmed and sits in one place. A very inauspicious end to the first chapter. It began with Dhritarashtra Uvacha. What are they doing? Dharma kshetre, kurukshetre, samavetaha yuyutsavaha. Please, Sanjaya, my people and those people, what are they doing? And Sanjaya says this is exactly what he is doing. And the other people are beating their kettle drums. But Arjuna has had a full-blown panic attack, a despair attack, a sorrow attack, and he is, having a pity party and making up a potluck list of who is to bring what, and he's looking to people, because first he was talking only about himself and then he started to talk in the plural. We shouldn't be doing this. We. He's trying to bring in other people. And this is some, the allegory, is very obvious. We don't even have to talk about this. It is so obvious that it is talking about the internal battle as much as the external battle, and the way in which one pulls out of life. If I don't like it, I go. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Lord Krishna says that's the most dangerous way of confronting the situation. So it leaves us today on a cliffhanger. Yeah, because what is going to happen, how it is going to be seen, is only going to be revealed in the next chapter. And we have a very traditional way of ending the chapters. These are later interpolations, I think, but it's very nice. Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat Sat.
Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu
Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu
Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama Prathamodhyayah. So really speaking, it is iti prathamodhyayah. This is iti means thus concludes the prathamaha adhyayah, first chapter. And what is this first chapter? Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama. This chapter has got, what is that? Yoga here means topic. This chapter, which is the first chapter, concludes, which has the topic of Arjuna Vishada Yoga. What is the topic? Arjuna's grief. Yoga here is not Arjuna's sorrow is a yoga. No, that's not the yoga. Yoga means the connection here, the sangati, the topic. And the topic is that of Arjuna's grief. So here concludes the first chapter, Prathamodhyayah, which elucidates the topic of Arjuna's grief. And where does it occur? Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Su is the plural is for respect. Upanishad Su, which is like an Upanishad. And what is the topic of the Gita? Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. So Brahma Vidya, self-knowledge, Yoga Shastra, a committed way of life to gaining this self-knowledge, Karma Yoga Shastra. And how is this given to us? Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. In a dialogue, a special kind of a dialogue between the teacher and the taught called Samvada between Bhagavan Krishna and Arjuna. This is what is contained in the first chapter. And so the second chapter, we'll go in detail tomorrow. We'll just read a couple of, one verse we'll read. Adhyatma Vidya Sanjaya Uvacha Tan tatha kripaya vishtam Ashrupurna kulekshanam Vishidantamidam vakyam Uvacha madhusudanaha. How did the chapter end? Who was talking? Sanjaya. So Sanjaya is continuing to talk. So tam, unto him, tatha, therefore, in that manner, who kripaya vishtam, the one who was overcome by compassion towards the enemies. So overcome by misplaced compassion, one may add. Ashrupurna kulekshanam. Ashrupurna means the Ashrupurna filled with tears. Akula ikshanam yasya. Akula means full of distress. Not only were they filled with tears, the eyes, they were also filled with panic. So fear and tears. One eye was filled with fears, the other one was filled with tears. So then what happened? Vishidantam means what? Fully, sad, afflicted. So the one who was afflicted. And idam vakyam uvacha. These words were said. Who said? Madhusudanaha. Lord Krishna, the killer of the demon called Madhu, spoke these words. And then, we will see what was said tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.